Hey, what's going on? So with the upcoming 2024 NFL season, I just wanted to go through, do a little bit of a different prediction this time. And this is post the NFL draft and a lot of trades, but there still could be some more transactions for the season. But this time I really wanted to focus on the divisions. So leaving the playoffs out of it, just looking at the standings and stuff like that, I just wanted to give a little bit of a loose prediction on that. I'm not going to give a complete record estimate. I'd probably have to go through every single game and do that in the future. But we're just going to be focusing on the placements in each NFL division for the regular season. So starting with the AFC East, I do think there's going to be a pretty good shakeup here. The only thing I don't think I see changing is the Patriots being in last place. I still think they are a redeveloping team, but really anything could happen. I think they're still going to be in fourth. And then really, I think there's going to be a lot of competition between the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, because you have Aaron Rodgers, who hopefully is going to be healthy. You have the Bills and the Dolphins both being 11-6 last year, and I think they're both going to be really dominant again. So I could see even all three of these teams getting some sort of a playoff spot or having really a good chance of making it towards the end of the season. But if I had to separate the three of them, I probably would take the Miami Dolphins getting the first place spot this year. I think they're going to have an even better offense, and if they can improve their defense just a little bit, I think they're just going to have a little bit more of a better track record throughout the season. I think the Buffalo Bills losing Diggs is going to hurt them a little bit. Still like their chances, still think they could make a good run in the playoffs, but I think they're going to fall just maybe a game or something like that behind the Dolphins. So I could still see them getting a wild card spot. And I think the Jets are going to be right there. I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a little bit rusty, and they'll still have some things to figure out throughout the season. But they easily could get a wild card spot too. So I think them and the Bills could be maybe tied, or they'll just be a game behind the Bills. And then for the AFC North, I really see some big changes here, but I do see the Ravens still holding on to first place. I think the real big difference is you had the Bengals falling to last place last year, still had a 9-8 record, but really that big difference is going to be Burrow coming back. So I think the Bengals will be the safe second place bet for the AFC North next year, maybe a couple games behind the Ravens. And then I think the Steelers might fall to last place. We're a playoff team last year, but I don't think they're going to make it this year. That's just my thoughts. And the Browns, I think they have a really good defense, and if they have a lot of their players staying healthy, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb coming back, I think they could be for a good team. But really, I just think with the competition they have with a healthy Cincinnati Bengals, I don't think they're going to be able to cut it, but this is still a really competitive division. Next, we'll go to the AFC South. Really not too much of a change here. I still think the Houston Texans will hold on to first place, but I think they're going to be even better than last year. 10-7 last year. I think they're going to have maybe something like 12 wins this year. But the change I do see happening, I do see the Colts beating out the Jaguars next year, especially if Richardson's able to stay healthy. I think the Colts are going to be a safe second place team, potentially a wild card team. Jaguars are going to fall to third. And the Titans, I could see them turning it around a little bit, but I still think they're a redeveloping team, so I think they'll stay in last place. And then in the AFC West, a little bit of a change here, though I do see the Kansas City Chiefs staying ultimately in first place. 11-6 last year. I think they'll have maybe just a little bit better record next year. But I do see the Chargers coming from last place, finishing in second place next year. And then the Raiders and the Broncos, I don't think is going to be too competitive. Both were 8-9 last year. I think it's really a toss-up for who's at which spot here. And then in the National Football Conference, starting with the NFC East, But really think this would stay mostly the same. Giants and Commanders are still going to be struggling. But I really think the big discussion is between the Eagles and the Cowboys because they were neck and neck. Cowboys won it last year going 12-5. Eagles were 11-6. But you do have the Eagles being the first place champions in 2022. And I do think that's going to repeat again next year. Though I do like the Cowboys team and the Cowboys' chances of having a good season. I think the Eagles are going to recover from really what was a rough second half to what hurt them last season. I think they're going to be a little bit more consistent, so I see them retaking first place. But Dallas being a really good team behind them in second. And then in the NFC North, still see the Lions holding on to first place because they're just really a dominant team. And if they can figure some stuff out with their secondary, with those new draft picks, I think they're going to be really untouchable there at first place. Do you still think the Packers will hold on to second, though I think they'll have a better record than 9-8. But I really think the big question here is what the Chicago Bears are going to look like. So I think they'll be just behind the Packers in third place. Again, could easily get a playoff spot, and you could have 3 teams from the NFC North making it in the wild card. But I do see the Vikings falling to last place just because it is such a competitive division. And the NFC South, I think, is really not really as strong of a division. But you do have probably another good year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were 9-8 last year. But I do think the big question is if the Falcons are going to be able to catch them. I think they are going to have a much better season. I do like the Falcons beating out the Buccaneers and getting first place, or even just being a close second behind them. But the Falcons are really going to be a little bit more of a problem for the NFC South. And then the Saints, I see them being a little bit worse next year. Panthers really going to be full redevelopment, so they're going to be in last place still. Saints in third, and then I think it's a toss-up between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And then in the NFC West, I really don't see any changes here. Still think the Cardinals are going to have trouble, still going to be redeveloping. Seahawks, probably not bad of a team, but I think they're not going to be able to beat out the Rams, who's going to be just right there behind the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to have another dominant season. Rams right there behind them, a good wild card team. So just my early thoughts for the divisional standings for next season. Feel free to let me know what your guys' predictions are for some of these divisions. Really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you later.